What's going on, guys? For Complex News, it's 360 with Speedy Morman. I'm him, and we got a special guest in the building today. Busta. Bus is here. Busta, what's up, man? How are you?
Man, I'm blessed, and I truly feel highly favored. I can't even front, bro. How you, man? Everything good with you?
I'm good. Thank you for asking, bro. A lot of times people don't ask back, but it feels good to be asked. You know what I'm saying?
No question. It's only right. You know, some of us was raised a little different from others. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hold to them beautiful and incredibly, sometimes simple, but extremely important fundamentals. Just being considerate, being mindful, and then being respectful, most importantly. So I got to give it up to you. I appreciate your time, and shit, it feels good for people to still want to talk to you after all of these years. You know what I'm saying?
So, Bus, how you been, man? Obviously, we're living through some crazy times right now. I mean, half the world seems to be shut down. Other people in other places are not shut down. How have you been holding up? I've
been great. You know, I mean, I'm not gonna say I've been as great as we all were when things were open and we were able to move and shake the way we used to. You know, I was raised from young, in order to be, you gotta be swift and changeable in order to be remainable. And I live by that slogan significantly, which is a direct correlation to just everything that I'm a testament of as far as my resilience and ability to survive, reinvent, and, you know, stand the test of time after all of these years. We've had to be creative, and we had to be, you know, the survivalists that we are by nature, because obviously the first instinct of self-preservation is survival. And when there's a will, you're gonna find a way. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, me having my incredible support system at home with my family and my kids and my moms and, you know, my queen and, you know, just all of the people that, you know, I got around me, there's no way that I'm gonna allow them to look in my eyes or me look in their eyes and fail or let any of the people that I love down. So, you know, we're gonna keep pushing, and we're gonna keep beating the pavement every day, because we ain't got no choice, because failure is not an option. But even beyond that, you know, I was also able to take advantage of this time to improve me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not only in an incredible space creatively, but I'm probably in the best space, mind, body, and soul and spirit, just from being able to take advantage of this time, not having as much distractions to deal with, to just, you know, improve me and get on some real proactive self-preservation lifestyle changes, and going in that gym and living in that gym and living in making the necessary adjustments with, you know, my diet and food intake and meal preps and just healthy regimens. You know what I'm saying? That's
what a lot of people have noticed. You've obviously made this crazy physical change. You know what I'm saying? And that's not to be any disrespect, but you've come a long way in what feels like a short amount of time, man. Can you speak to that? Just how health is really wealth these days?
Yo, let me keep it a buck. I started just developing issues with my health that just shouldn't have been happening at my age. You know what I'm saying? I ended up on 2 blood pressure medicines. I ended up on acid reflux medicines. I developed sleep apnea. I was having these growths of polyps on my vocal cords that started to grow so big that they started blocking my breathing passage. We get to the doctor, and the doctor, before the doctor comes in, the first thing he says to me is, "Are you all right?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine. Why, what's up?" He was like, "Because I can hear how you're breathing outside of the door."
Oh, shit.
As I was approaching the door. And that shit sounded crazy to me, because, you know, I'm with myself every day. I'm not hearing myself the way somebody outside of me is hearing me. So I'm like, damn, if my shit is that bad, what the fuck is really going on with me? So he's like, "Look, but the way you're breathing right now, I want to look in there and see what's happening now." So he sticks this long black tube, just like a flexible black tube. It got like a little lens on the end of it and a light. So it's like a microscope kind of thing. He sticks it in my nose to go down in my throat. And the first thing he says when he starts to see what he's seeing is, "Oh my God, oh my God." And I'm like, "What's going on? What you saying, oh my God, for?" He's like, "Yo, I need you to understand that right now you have to, I'm gonna call you an ambulance and I need you to go to UCLA Medical from here via ambulance because I cannot allow you to go home tonight. And I'm looking at this motherfucker like, you saying all this shit, but you still ain't telling me what you saw.
Right.
You still ain't telling me what the fuck is wrong. I'm thinking cancer shit, tumors, or the worst shit I'm thinking. So, you know, I'm super paranoid, and then I'm like, yo, I need you to fucking tell me what's happening now. And then he goes, yo, those polyps that's been growing in your vocal cords, they have grown to the point where they are blocking 90% of your breathing passage. And that combined with your weight is why your breathing is sounding the way it is. If I let you go home tonight and your central air system is blowing, you take a shower, you come out that shower, and you don't dry your head properly or you don't dry yourself off properly, you lay down and you catch a cold, that little last 10% of your breathing passage that's left, if a lymph node or a gland or something from a sore throat decides to grow because you're catching a regular cold, nothing serious, and that last 10% of your breathing passage blocks up, you can die tonight.
Damn.
When I tell you I never heard no shit like that from no person speak to me in my entire 48 years of being in existence, that shit flatlined me at that very given moment. I said, I ain't going in no ambulance. All of that shit starts to make you feel sicker than you are. I will go directly to UCLA Medical Law. He said, all right, I'm gonna call, but I need you to have them walk you straight into the emergency and admit you so you don't have to wait. That's how serious this is. So let me advance that real quick. But I need you to sign this piece of document that exonerates me from any liability if you decide to not go to the hospital and you detour and do other than what I'm telling you, because I don't need no lawsuit. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you what to do. If you don't listen, it's not my fault at that point. I signed it. I go in the car, we go straight to UCLA Medical. I get there, they admit me, they put me in ICU. I never slept in the hospital in my life. This is a surgery you're performing. I don't want no possible, you can't say sorry for accidentally snipping something that can bleed and kill me while I'm under anesthesia. There is no room for that. You can't apologize. So I want you to understand, I'm begging you with my life in your hands, understand the seriousness of there not being any room for possible mistake in advance. If you feel you ain't capable of being able to guarantee that you can avoid this mistake, I'm willing to live and die on my own iniquity. I'm not giving my life to you to make no mistake that you can't apologize for. We had that conversation, established that understanding, cool. Then I was also concerned about what he was saying to me in reference to how he wanted to do this procedure, because he was like, yo, there's certain polyps on your vocal cords that I'm not even willing to touch because it can change the way you sound forever. And now I'm looking at this shit like, wow, this is the voice that's fed my family for my
the last
entire
30 years,
life. 30 years, 29 years to be exact. And I'm like, all right, what is the solution? He said, I can cut 85% of these polyps out of your throat and off the vocal cords and leave the ones that aren't so detrimental that I don't need to touch that could possibly change the way you sound. But you're gonna have to make some lifestyle changes because you can't continue to do what you're doing and think that these things won't grow back. They will grow again. So you gotta make some changes. So that conversation with my son, the doctor at the practice before UCLA Medical that told me that I could die that night if I ain't go to the emergency room.
And I'm glad you took the hint, dog. Like, I'm glad you were able to realize everything that was going on. I don't really believe in coincidences, so the fact that you were able to take heed to what was going on, seeing the things surrounding you, seeing the signs that were being presented to you, I'm very glad that you not only took the hint, but you've made such significant lifestyle changes, and now Here we are. You're significantly healthier. You're looking better than we've ever seen Bust look. E.L.E. Talk to us about it, man. This album is been years in the making. I mean, I've heard you speak about it since 2015. You've been emotional about this album. We've seen you tearing up talking about it. Why is this album such a big deal to Busta Rhymes?
There's several reasons that plays into that. Extinction Level Event 2, The Wrath of God, it's me in my current state, coming from this place where I wasn't my best self, and being able to capture all of the vulnerabilities, happy moments, sad moments, frustrated moments, stressed moments. Number two, I never financed a project entirely in my life. I've never spent this much money on recording an album.
That's real.
So the sacrifice from a financial place was probably my greatest sacrifice. 11 years of studio time, 11 years of hotel rooms.
If we had to put a proverbial price tag on it, how much you think we're talking?
We're talking several millions of dollars.
Several millions?
Several millions of dollars.
Upwards of 3?
Super by far, upward of 3. By far.
Give me a ballpark. Give me a ballpark number.
I don't like disclosing this type of shit. Because, I don't want it to turn into that. I don't want that to become the narrative.
That's real. That's real.
You know what I'm saying? I also wasn't willing to compromise, especially as the recording process was happening, and I started to see the amazing gifts that was falling in my lap, just from allowing time to dictate what was deemed warranted for me to be gifted with, because of my patience, because of my resilience.
And when you say that, are you talking about like verses, beats, is that the kind of thing that you're talking about?
Yes, I'm talking about all of that. The different type of people that was willing to come and participate. As the album develops and people hears things when they come in the studio to check up on you, and the hotter the records are, the more the word of mouth spreads. Then your other peers and colleagues, they hear about shit, they want to pull up on you, they hear the conversations, they calling you, telling you, I'm hearing things about this album, Playboy. When I'm in town, I'm coming to see you.
Which one of those phone calls, I don't mean to cut you off, but which one of those phone calls meant the most to you that you was like, damn, I didn't know this one was gonna fall in my lap?
I would have to say me and Kendrick.
That's a big one.
Yeah, Kendrick came, I was working in a studio in E.L.E. and Santa Monica. And in the same session, SZA came, Schoolboy Q came, but they would come in and they would leave. And it was almost like when one came and they heard what was happening in the studio, they went back to the session and then said something about it, and then it made another TDE event. They wanted to hear what was happening.
Right.
And they both came back. And then by the time the word got to Kendrick came in the room and was like, I needed to come down here and hear what was going on.
I need to hear it for myself.
Hear it for myself. And it was such an honor and a pleasure to be able to be in the room with them vibing and pressing play and watching that reaction that you can't pay for. You know the difference between when somebody is hearing your shit and they thinking about, what they think about it, as opposed to when somebody hear your shit and the instinctual reaction doesn't have any thought going on, it's just impulsive. I was seeing that. That's the reward. When you see that impulsive reaction, there ain't no thinking time, there ain't no thought time going into it. It's just, this shit is cut deep into my soul, like, fucking, this shit is crazy. Like, when you get that, it's just an amazing feeling, man.
Take me inside that studio session. So Kendrick comes in after multiple TDE members come in. You cleared a Michael Jackson sample or Jackson 5 sample. Take me inside that studio session. What is that like?
That session didn't happen with both of us in the same room. When they came, it was just a press play session.
Okay.
You feel me? The way the me and Kendrick record happened was There was a beat that Q-Tip had did for me a few years ago that was actually a beat for a new Tribe album. Kendrick had heard that beat in particularly, and he wanted that beat. And I had already did a song to it, so that record didn't happen. But I was willing to put Kendrick on that beat, and we was entertaining the idea of him being on that beat. At the time, Dave Free was still at TDE. Big up to Dave Free too. Big up to Top Dog. Big up to Punch. The beat that I actually ended up getting from Knots with, young Michael Jackson on there. When I got that beat, I sent it to Kendrick. He was overseas at the time. And when he heard the beat, it was like, all right, we got some shit here. I sent him my verse. He sent me back that monster verse that ended up being on the record. And it was not until later on when we finally got our hands, me and Knots got our hands on the actual 2-inch multi-track, the 2-inch 16-track multi of the 1968 I'll Be There recording, where we were able to actually separate and mute all of the other music tracks and actually get into solo Michael Jackson's young vocals and not have to sample it because we were actually using his vocals. When I tell you that kind of gift is the shit that started falling into our laps that you could not predict would be a blessed opportunity that was gonna happen. This type of shit didn't come until like 8-9 years into the recording. We would have never knew that this shit was gonna happen at any given point in the album until it actually was being presented to us a week prior to it getting brought to us, that this was actually some real shit that was coming to fruition. Those gifts are like the most profound and priceless gifts ever. Nobody could say in their albums, I don't care who's coming out, that can say they have moments where the original Michael Jackson vocals, you actually sit in the studio, them days when they was recording them songs, there wasn't no punching in their vocals, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
They just press play and record, and if they fuck up the song in the middle of recording it, the producer in the control room would speak to them through the control room, and they would hear the producer talking to them in their headphones. All of that shit is recorded on a microphone. You hear the laughing and the joking between him and his brothers in between takes. They joking on who messed up the song, they giggling.
That's dope.
Yo, we sitting there listening to this shit, and I just bursted into tears, bro. Like, I'm actually in a session with young Michael. This is out of control to me right now.
That's special, bro, and I'm glad that you stayed the course, and these things were able to then, by virtue of you staying the course, kind of just happen. Like they just happen, bro. That's crazy.
Unbelievable, bro. You hearing him joking around with his brother Marlon and Tito and Jackie and Randy, and they little kids having the most free spirit, fun energy in the studio, and all of this is captured, and you could solo out the music and listen to them actually interacting as just regular human beings, and you got this in your possession. That shit is shit you want to get buried in the tombs with. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you don't even want to share that shit, but obviously it's magical to share it, which is why we have this incredible song, Look Over Your Shoulder. And I just want to thank everybody from Knots, the producer. Once again, thank TDE, the general, Top Dog for blessing us with making sure the clearance went through. Thank Kendrick for performing and displaying a phenomenal skill set. One of my favorite MCs to ever touch a microphone.
Incredible.
He's just like a godsend. So big up the whole TDE, Schoolboy Q, Reason, Sir, Scissor, all of them.
The whole gang, yeah.
Yeah, they treat me like family, man, and it's love. Word.
Let's talk about this Verzuz battle. A lot of people wanted to see you go against T.I. You said that you was gonna bust T.I. ass. He has since taken on Jeezy. Are you upset that you're not gonna get to bust T.I. ass?
I'm never upset about anything. These are all like glorious moments, and we celebrating each other, and we having fun, and we getting the opportunity to show some competitive shit, and the nature of what this culture has been built on from the beginning is to be competitive, whether it's respectfully competitive or disrespectfully competitive. And I embrace it with grace, however way it's gonna come. This is the fundamentals that I was raised on. But just for the record, I never asked to do a versus with T.I. This was presented to me from Brother Joe Crack when I did the interview with him.
On IG Live.
Yeah, and he was telling me what was happening with T.I. and 50. And then how, when that didn't happen or come to fruition, T.I. was, had some verbiage in his dialogue about how he had an issue with New York MCs and some shit like that. And if the opportunity was presented to me to do the verses with him, would I do it? And I said, of course, and I would bust his ass.
So if not Tip, then who would be a good competitor for Bust?
Anybody that is willing to step in the ring with me.
Who would you like to spar against? Who would Busta like to spar against?
I would love to spar against anybody. I'm gonna be brutally honest with you. As long as their catalog is so powerful, because I don't want to do a corny verses. I don't want to do no verses with anybody who catalog isn't crazy. And I would love to do a verses with somebody that I'm a fan of. Because I'm only trying to compete with people that brings the best out of me. That's why I do so many collabs. So I would love to do a verses with Eminem. I would love to do a verses with Lil Wayne. I would love to do a verses with Hove. I wouldn't mind doing a verses against two artists at the same time. Like, I actually presented that before, T.I. started talking like that, because that was one of my responses, to in the verbiage that I was giving T.I. Going back and forth with him. When my first response to what he was saying was happening about, the age gap and all of that. You know what I'm saying? That was my first response, to be, willing to go against two. And I was asking, switching them to see if they could, adjust their format to accommodate that. But until that happens, I'm with it with anybody, because again, this is respectful competition, and we celebrating each other's legacies. But we also gonna make this shit exciting, and we gonna make this shit real competitive, because that's just what I come from, and it wouldn't be fun for me any other way.
Take me back to decades ago, the No Way Out tour. It's one of the most iconic tours on paper that you've ever heard about. You got Puff, obviously Young Puff, you got Hove, you got Dipset on there, you know what I'm saying? You got Busta Rhymes.
Foxy was on there too.
Foxy Brown was on there. Busta was on there. I'm curious as to what it was like when you guys aren't performing, the cameras aren't rolling. Take me back to those moments. What was a standout moment from a tour like that, when you think about just that many creative superpowers just being in the same place at the same time?
Yeah, the spirit of the tour was so incredible, because we was really moving like family. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody was in like real family, real supportive of each other. Backstage was always fun and games and love and feel good energy. But it was competitive. Like, motherfuckers used to go to each other's dressing room every day to see what they was gonna wear.
To see who had the best gear?
See who was gonna come out and make the statement on that stage with the showmanship and fuck the audience up before they even said a word on the mic, because they wardrobe and their presence was so grand that a motherfucker would want to come in your dressing room to see how you was gonna step out that night, to know if they might have had to go back to their dressing room and make an adjustment. You know what I'm saying? It was that level of fucking.
Did you ever have to do that? Did you ever go in maybe Hove's dressing room or Diddy and be like, damn, he got some shit, let me go change?
Nah, because at the time they was wearing the same things every night. I was the one that was with the fucking the wardrobe cases that was like 3 wardrobe cases with at least 20 outfits in each wardrobe case of all custom shit. Because I was known for my over-the-top outfits and wardrobes with the crazy hairstyles, with the dreads and all of that. And, I needed to bring that shit to life every night. And we had so much wardrobe that was being custom done that we would only wear one thing for the whole tour. Each night we made shit that we wasn't gonna wear again. So that, every night when a picture was being taken, it wasn't of us in the same outfit. And it wasn't of us doing something that another city saw us doing or wearing 2 nights or a week before. It allowed us to be able to also go out there and bust ass in a very challenging way every night and be grand and over the top and special with it, you know?
Sure. My last question for you, and I'm referencing this because you said it on Joey Crack, Fat Joe's IG Live. You said that realistically, you've never seen a difference between Republicans and Democrats. The election, this video is actually going to come out after the election, so we'll maybe know a little bit more, but I'm just curious as to what you mean by a statement like that and what your plans are for the upcoming election.
What I mean by that is that it's from a factual place. The way the black people has benefited from Democrats or Republicans being in office, I haven't seen it. I think we've been seeing black men get murdered with no police accountability, from Yusef Hawkins to Rodney King, all the way down to this brother in Philly that just got killed recently. So, where is the gain? Where is the benefit? You know, Democrats and Republicans have put things in place that is by design and systematically set up to be disadvantages towards black and brown people from disproportionate racial infrastructures. As far as opportunity, as far as prison, as far as the justice system, the courts, this has never changed in the favor of black people. It's still in the United States Constitution that we're considered 3/5 of a man. That still hasn't been changed. So how does the Democrats or the Republicans actually help protect a black person if they still haven't even changed that one thing in the United States Constitution? So that means part of the reason why black man gets away, well, law enforcement and a lot of people get away with the shit that they do to black people is because maybe a lot of the laws don't apply to us, being that we're not considered to be an actual human or a full citizen or a full human life. Maybe that's why. We're subhuman to them still in the United States Constitution. And last but not least, we don't got an economy that we could call our own. You know, and I think at the end of the day, until we get some money to really be in a position to really support some of these people in position of power that in the way that they really need, so that you really got some negotiation leverage at the round table, because ain't shit moving without the money. It don't matter how much voting you want to do. I mean, at the end of the day, when you sit down and you talk, and I'm not saying not to vote, let's not misconstrue what I'm saying, brother. What I'm saying is this is a bigger problem than just standing online and voting. We have to start doing something as a collective and as a movement that will allow us to have a seat at the table so that there is some sort of respect for our demands. There will be some catering for our demands, and that's not gonna happen unless we have an economic value in the grand scheme of things when it comes to influencing the way the law and the infrastructure of government and system works.
Do you know who you'll be voting for?
I'm not disclosing that to you, even if I was to make that decision. But I can definitely tell you something. I'm tired of this Trump rhetoric and this bullshit that he carrying on with. For sure. That motherfucker is out of his mind. And something definitely needs to be done about that. But, you know, Biden got some history that I'm not too thrilled about neither. So, you know, I definitely have to really, and you know, as we're getting very close, we got to make a decision soon. But I've been on the fence about this for a long time. And, you know, I do know for a fact, and two things for certain, we got to do something about this Trump motherfucker, because he's definitely not, whatever he's doing, it ain't really feeling conducive to what we needed.
Is Kanye in the mix for you, or he's out?
We ain't talking about him, bro.
So he's out.
I don't want to entertain no conversation about that brother. I think whatever he's going to do and whatever he is doing, continuous blessings to him. But we talking about a whole bigger thing. You know what I'm saying? And we're going to stay focused on that bigger thing.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time, bro, for real.
Thank you, King.
Love, bro.